Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Anne Marie, and today I'm going to discuss the 10 Things I Love About You, The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is a no spoilers book review, so don't worry about me revealing any plot twists or ruining any surprise endings. The whole point of this is to give you an inside peek into the book. So here we go. The first thing I love about this book is Lenora Hope. The book's title, The Only One Left, pertains to her. When she was 17 years old, her family was murdered in a Lizzie Borden-like massacre. Since Lenora was the only one who survived the gruesome slayings in her family home, most people assumed she was responsible. But, despite everyone's assumptions, the police were never able to prove it. Now, 71 years old, Lenora is confined to a wheelchair. Since she has been rendered mute by a series of strokes, she can only communicate with her caregiver by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, when Lenora decides she finally wants to tell her side of the story, she begins typing. This leads to the second thing I love about this book, reading Lenora's typed account of what was happening in her life leading up to the night her mother, father, and sister were brutally murdered. Her typed pages are sporadically inserted throughout the book, giving us glimpses of what was happening at that time. Her family was killed on October 29, 1929, but her typed account goes back 8 months before the murders, on the day her portrait was painted. Although she didn't realize it at the time, that day was the beginning of the end. The third thing I love is Kit. She is a 31-year-old caregiver who has spent the last 12 years working for Guerlain Home Health Aids, a company that specializes in long-term live-in care. At the start of the story, Kit is just coming off a 6-month suspension because of what happened to her previous patient. Suspended without pay, she lives with her father in the dingy ranch home where she grew up. When her boss first offers her a job caring for a patient who lives in an exclusive coastline area of Maine, Kit senses the assignment is too good to be true, so she begins asking questions. When she realizes the job is caring for the infamous Lenora Hope, she hesitates about taking the assignment. The Hope family murders occurred in 1929, and this book is set in 1983, so 54 years have passed since Lenora allegedly killed her family. Kit is familiar with what happened because, well, everyone living in the area knows about the Hope family murders and what Lenora did that frightful night. Nevertheless, Kit decides that she has nothing to lose. She desperately needs a job, any job, because she needs to start building back her savings, which has dwindled to almost nothing over the last 6 months. So she agrees to move into the mansion where the murders occurred to care for the town's very own Lizzie Borden. The fourth thing I love about The Only One Left is the setting, the cliffs of Maine. This is where ridiculously rich people live, ensconced in massive houses atop rocky bluffs that overlook the ocean. With turrets, widows' walks, and bay windows facing the sea, these mansions cling to craggy bluffs and are half hidden behind brick walls and swaths of ivy. Built in 1913, Hope's End is the name of the 36-room estate where Lenora resides. This is how the estate is described in Chapter 3. 3 stories tall and seemingly as wide as a cruise ship, the mansion is a marvel of Gilded Age excess. The walls are red brick. Around the front double doors and all the windows is marble detailing that serves no purpose except to show how much money the Hope family once had. A ton of it, to judge by the amount of sculpted curves and curlicues on display. The windows of the 3rd floor retain the marble, but jut from the pitched roof, which is topped by a dozen narrow chimneys that look like candles atop an ornate birthday cake. Unfortunately, initial appearances can be deceiving, and as Kit soon discovers, the Hope estate is slowly crumbling into the Atlantic Ocean. The first person Kit encounters after her arrival at the estate is Carter. He's the fifth thing I love about this book. Carter is the handsome young groundskeeper who lives in the cozy stone groundskeeper's cottage on the property. In chapter 14, he insinuates that everyone living inside the Hope's End estate has secrets. He claims his secret is that he's really a bartender, pretending to be a groundskeeper, but we learn more about Carter's background later in the book. Carter believes Lenora Hope is harmless, and in chapter 14, he tells Kit his theory about what happened the night Lenora's family was murdered. They also discuss Mary, Lenora's previous nurse, who mysteriously vanished. The mystery of what happened to Mary is the sixth thing I love about The Only One Left. The reader learns in chapter 1 that Lenora's previous nurse departed quite suddenly. There one day, gone the next. No one seems to know why she left or where she went, which ultimately adds to the suspense. In chapter 6, we learn that prior to her abrupt departure, Mary showed Lenora how to use the typewriter. Lenora's typed words is how she communicates with Kit. As I mentioned earlier, this is also how the reader learns what happened in the months leading up to the Hope family murders. The Hope family portraits are the seventh thing I love about The Only One Left. Shortly after entering the mansion, Kit passes by a framed oil painting of Miss Hope that was commissioned by her father to mark her birthday. Beside it are three others, identical in shape and size, that hang in a row next to it, all hidden behind black silk crepe. Rather than draped over the paintings, the fabric is stretched taut and held in place by nails driven directly into the frames. Although this doesn't entirely hide the portraits, and Kit can faintly see them behind the sheer crepe, hazy and featureless, like ghosts. The eighth thing I love is Jessie. She's the young maid who works at the estate. In addition to cleaning, she also uses a cassette tape to record herself reading books out loud, which Lenora then listens to using a Walkman. Remember, this book is set in 1983, so cassette tapes and Walkmans fit with that time period. In chapter 9, Jessie takes Kit on a murder tour, in which she explains who died where in the mansion on October 29, 1929. Curious about what really happened that night, they decide to use a Ouija board to contact one of the victims for answers. The ninth thing I love about this book is the way Kit describes her first night in the mansion. This is found at the beginning of chapter 11. At Hope's End, the dominant night noises are the ocean and the wind, a discordant duet that keeps me awake. The waves are low and steady, crashing into the cliff below, with a rhythm that would be soothing if not for the wind, which hits the house in irregular gusts. Each blow rattles the windows and shimmies the walls, which in turn creak and groan, reminding me where I am. A mansion teetering on the edge of the ocean, inside of which is a woman, most people assume murdered her family. And finally, the 10th thing I love about The Only One Left are all the twists and turns. Trust me, this book is full of them. Although it seems like a simple plot, was Lenora responsible for her family's murders, or was it someone else? This story becomes very complicated, especially since there's way more to the tale than people know. If you've read the book and would like to add to my list of things to love, please do so in the comments. Until next time, take care, be well, and happy reading.